Hey, this is a video for Biodiversity.2, so go ahead and check out the essential vocabulary, set up your guided notes, and check out the aim. Describe how biodiversity in an ecosystem can be altered. So ecological succession is the gradual change in an ecosystem. When we have primary ecological succession, there is no soil present. And this is a process that can take hundreds or even thousands of years. So we start out with bare earth, usually from rocks or a recent volcanic eruption. And basically what you have to do is find plants to grow on there and then keep building up layers and layers of soil till eventually you can support an entire forest. Now, if you start with bare earth, the first organisms to appear are going to be mosses and lichens. And I'll discuss that in a moment. Then you'll have organisms like grasses. Eventually, when they die, their tissues will decompose and create more organic matter, which makes up most of the soil. Eventually, you can get shrubs, which are like small trees. An evergreen forest like pine and spruce. Eventually, getting to a hardwood forest. Now, this is ecological succession that would happen in New York State because we live in a biome that has hardwood forests. However, if you lived in a different biome, you're not always going to end up with hardwood forest. You'd end up with whatever biome is common in that, based on that temperature and precipitation. Now, another form of ecological succession is secondary, and that's where there's already soil present. So in New York, we would start with a hardwood forest, and then something's going to happen, like a forest fire or any other natural disaster, like a flood or a hurricane. Then eventually, grasses will move in, followed by shrubs, and eventually getting back to an evergreen forest and then a hardwood forest. So this is a process that, again, will take hundreds of years, but it will not take as long as primary succession because we already have soil. So what happens is you'll have these pioneer species. They're the first species to colonize an ecosystem during ecological succession. Like I said, they are mosses, like that fuzzy stuff that grows on trees, or lichens, that scaly stuff that will grow on trees. These will come in and they're able to grow on rocks, and they'll help to break down the rocks and break down other organic material that will eventually create soil. Here's an example I took when I was on spring break trip in Hawaii. So this is a recent lava flow. Well, not recent. It's from 1867. And there's little plants that are growing in here. You can also see another area that has a close-up. But there are some areas where you've grown trees. So for being over 150 years old, it is a long process. And eventually this will grow into a forest that is common in this area. So graphically, what it would look like, and you should copy this down, is we have always organisms competing for the sun. So in early succession, you'll have grasses and other small plants growing. Then eventually in middle succession, you will have shrubs and some trees moving in, and that will block out the sun for the grasses and make the grass population decrease. During late succession, spruce trees and maple trees may come in, and then also blocking out the sunlight for the birch and the shrubs because they're not as tall, causing them to die out and these other trees to take over. So another way that we can alter the ecosystem is by introducing invasive species. So invasive species are non-native species that rapidly increase in population and outcompete native species. They're able to outcompete because they have no natural predators. They're also highly competitive because they have a wide range of tolerance, and this can enable their population to increase rapidly. So I'm going to give you some examples of organisms, talk about the niche that they invaded or what they do in that ecosystem, and then the impact that they have on that ecosystem. The first one is the spotted lanternfly. These are common in New York State. They are originally native to China, where they're kept in control by specific birds. But here they will feed on crops and stone fruits, so they can damage agricultural products. I have a peach tree in my backyard, and last summer the spotted lanternflies ate a bunch of holes in my peaches, so they're all destroyed. They also can release a sticky substance which may impact other organisms like other pollinating insects. The cane toad was originally brought to Australia and to the Caribbean and Florida to eat cane beetles. And the cane beetles were affecting the sugarcane crops. So these cane toads had a much larger appetite, and they ate organisms that weren't just beetles. They would eat birds and other small mammals. And their toxic secretions, or the liquids that they release, are toxic, and they can be poisonous to pets. Like if you have a dog that put one of these in its mouth, the dog could get sick or potentially die. Another organism is a zebra mussel, and they're found around the Great Lakes. They were transported in the ship ballast water. Now, you don't have to know what ballast means, but basically large ocean-going ships will have water inside them to make them heavier or lighter so the ships don't topple over or sink. And these zebra mussels were introduced from Asia, and they are aggressive filter feeders. So while they can clean the water, they also remove the nutrients so other organisms don't have access to those nutrients. And they can clog intake pipes. If you've ever been to the Rockaways or Coney Island, you may see a lot of zebra mussels growing on different piers, or a lot of mussels growing on different piers. And in areas where they have water going in and water coming out, these zebra mussels can block that water. Finally, we have a Burmese python, and they were released in Florida. They were released by someone as pets. And they were released into the Everglades, where they're competing with apex predators like alligators and other organisms. Now they're eating a lot of Everglade mammal populations. So small rodents and other organisms that are key in the food webs are being destroyed. So what I would like you to do is describe how invasive species can impact biodiversity. And now we're going to talk about how we can reduce the impact. You can set physical traps. If you catch them, they can't escape and they can't reproduce. Provide chemical treatments to kill them, like insecticide, herbicides, or pesticides. But that may be a problem because it might kill harmless organisms as well. You could also have hunting seasons for different animals. Like in Florida, they have hunting seasons for the Burmese python. You could also introduce a natural predator, but that may be a problem because the natural predator themselves may become invasive as well. So what I would like you to do is respond to the aim by describing how biodiversity in an ecosystem can be altered. And then what I would like you to do is show what you've learned by completing this practice problem set 2. I hope that this video is informative. I thank you for your attention, and I will see you soon.